Hello, everyone. I am Rick Witskin, and this is Pickleball. We have an awesome episode today. My co-host, Fabian, what are we going to be talking about today?
What are we going to be talking about today? I don't know why I felt like Donald Trump right there. That was kind of weird. But anyway, very excited about what we're going to be talking about today. I think it's a topic that, not a lot of people discuss, but a lot of interest, and that's how do you prepare for a tournament? And I think this is the perfect timing. We've got our second tournament here, and I would like to say we're coming to you live from Third Shot Pickleball here in Indianapolis, Indiana, but we're hosting our second tournament here. We're expected to have a great turnout right now. We've got 270 players registered for singles, doubles, and mixed. So we're playing Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Very excited about that. But I think there's just a lot of opportunity to give people advice on how you best prepare for a tournament. Like, how do you overcome different situations when the tournament is going on? So would love to have your expertise to help explain that for our listeners. We've got some great listener questions. So if you submitted a question, you definitely want to stick through to the end of the episode to make sure that we get it. But we want to start, at least I would like to get started with this news that broke from DUPR, right? I think it's a topic that is very controversial, I suppose, in how people are looking at it, but the DUPR Reset. So DUPR, for those of you that don't know, is giving players the opportunity to essentially reset their DUPR. So if you're not happy with your current score, there's going to be a period of time, I think it actually starts March 16th and it goes through sometime in May, where you can play a certain amount of games. I believe it's 8 games with 2 different partners, and you pay $35, which is part of the controversy, but you pay $35 and it will take into account those new games, give you a new DUPR, and if it's lower than what you currently are, no harm, no foul. You reset back to what your original score is, but if it's higher, then you get to take that new DUPR score. So, Rick, would love to get your thoughts on how you feel about it.
Being a club owner and here, boots on the ground, talking to the amateurs, it's a necessary thing to get more and more validation for what a person's level is. And quite frankly, even in regards to me, I've medaled 2 out of my last 2 tournaments and even got gold, and my ranking went down. The point is that DUPR is not perfect. I think it's probably the best metric that's out there right now, but giving these players that have contentious emotions about their rating $35, I think it's fair. Does it seem like a money grab, Fabian? Maybe, but at the same time, I think, there is levels of security with your ranking if you're at 95% verified versus 10, 20%. I think getting people out there in rating moments on the court as much as they can is a good thing. But, ultimately, I'd like to see additional changes to DUPR. For instance, you should not win a tournament and have your ranking go down.
100%. Yes.
That's insanity.
But I'll be a little contrarian here and actually defend DUPR in this decision, because I think that there are a lot of people that are trying to increase their DUPR who maybe don't play enough tournaments but are good players, and from the time that they originally played in a tournament, got their score, maybe played a little too prematurely because they didn't have enough insight to, hey, don't play a ranked DUPR tournament if you're not ready, because it will do this to your DUPR, right? So I think that's a big piece of advice for anybody listening. It's like, if you're interested in playing tournaments, don't play until you're ready, right? Or don't play a DUPR rated tournament until you're ready, because it can take you a long time to climb out of that hole if you're not prepared for the level that you're going to go play at. So that said, myself as a player, I play anywhere from 3.5 to 4.0. My DUPR, God damn it, I'm going to sound like one of those people. My DUPR doesn't actually reflect the skill that I think I'm at, right? So I think for me, I would totally do this. And to your point about you shouldn't win a medal and your DUPR go down, I 100% agree with that. But there should be a system that should allow people that are currently lower skilled than you to, even if they lose, to increase their DUPR by scoring more points against you, right? So I think they have a very tough job to figure out what that perfect algorithm is, and it's never going to be perfect, right? But there should be benefits to people that are lower level that beat higher level people. Now, that said, what is the impact for somebody that is higher level that loses to lower level? I think in a vacuum, that makes sense. You should go down a little bit if you're losing to lower level people, right? Like I think there's an adjustment there. But in no world should you win gold and lose DUPR points. That just doesn't make sense. So there should be some like override there that takes that into account. Otherwise, why the hell would you even play, to try to win?
And
So
that's
I don't know.
absolutely true. I'll be more specific about a scenario that happened to me. I went to our sister club. We are Third Shot Pickleball here. We're super happy here in Indianapolis to be hosting this on location. There is Third Shot Pickleball in Evansville. They hosted a tournament, and I was asked to play in that. I obliged, and I did not know if that was going to be DUPR or not, but there's not paddle testing at that tournament, and I went there knowing I'd be the highest DUPR.
Yeah.
I felt like one of the players had an incredibly hot paddle. I only played mixed doubles, and that person was lighting up their drives, and I think it had a significant impact on the gold medal match. We lost that gold medal match, and it tanked my DUPR. And for me, my DUPR is seeding in tournaments, which now is about prize money, which now is about sponsorships. All of that matters. And even as an amateur for you, Fabian, I think that the most reflective DUPR accuracy will be based on you playing tournament after tournament after tournament after tournament. I don't know how many amateurs that say, okay, the four of us, let's make this a DUPR rated practice session.
Yeah.
I've not seen that a lot at the amateur level, but I'm also not in tune to that as much as you are. But what I do know is that I don't want to see tournaments, because I'm not playing another tournament that doesn't have paddle testing.
Yeah.
And honestly, being the highest level DUPR as a top player in pro, if everybody else is significantly lower than you, I don't see how you could have anything to gain, even if you win, let's say, some prize money.
Yeah.
Is it worth it? You're DUPR tanking because of that? I just would like to see more validity to results for the highest level players. And quite frankly, even with the National Pickleball League formerly, which is now CSP, Championship Series Pickleball, we are getting ready to have a draft, and it's players that, where is their DUPR right now? And so many players are asking what's the exact date, because they could go play a tournament this weekend, not do well, know they could cheat the system, tank, because maybe it's in their best interest to be a lower rated DUPR. So therefore, because we're doing our round selection based on DUPR rankings. So if they wanted to be on a team where they got a lower selection in a round, that means that, let's say, the first, second, third round, and they're a third round player, well, they could take their DUPR to not get picked until the sixth round. Therefore, especially if it's a keeper. So you can kind of cheat the system a little bit. I know that's not DUPR's fault by any means, but all it takes is one weekend to kill your DUPR.
Right. Yeah, and maybe that's why people listen to this podcast, to get insights like that, or maybe I'm just naive and didn't know that, outside of just the vanity metric of like, this is the certain DUPR I am and being able to play in certain groups and whatnot, is the seeding aspect when it comes to tournaments and things like that. So thank you for sharing that. I didn't even know. And we can go on and on about DUPR. Like, I think there's endless things that we could talk about. But I would like to know which one of you is going to be doing the DUPR reset. I know I am. Are you? Who knows? But anyway, moving on. Big tournament coming up March 13th through the 15th here at Third Shot Pickleball. It's our first annual spring invitational, super classy affair, super classy, the classiest actually. It's going to be like Wimbledon, like PPA Masters theme. So we're encouraging everybody to wear all white. But I think when it comes to tournament time, it's really important to just give people advice. People have questions about how do you best prepare. So I've got a bunch of different questions that I came up with, and then we got some questions from people on social media as well. So just want to start there. Rick, are you ready?
I'm so ready because I've been playing tournaments for about 48 years. So I think I have a pretty good idea of what to do.
All right. So we're going to start. I'm going to try to keep this chronological, even though my questions aren't chronological here. But so we'll start at the beginning. When you go in and you might have to remove yourself from your current situation and maybe think back to when you were kind of like a lower level player. But like when you go to sign up for a tournament, what division do you play? Do you typically play up? Do you try to play within your, right? So let's say you're a 3-5. Do you play 3-5? Do you try to test yourself and play 4-0? We'll start there. How do you figure out the best division to play?
You have to know yourself. Personality matters. Amount of self-esteem matters. Clearly, 95% of people want to play with better players. Mm-hmm. But if you play up and you continually lose tournament after tournament after tournament, it could almost be a self-fulfilling prophecy that you are going to lose again and again and again to where you don't think you deserve to win.
Yeah.
And that would be a bad situation. So I also think the value of tournaments can be hurt by a bevy of players that all are playing above their pay grade, if you will. Mm-hmm. And just to be honest, men typically think they're better than they are. Women typically downplay their level. And this is my 30 plus years of coaching. That's what I believe. So I'm not saying you shouldn't go get your DUPR checked, but I am saying that most guys think they're better than they are. Now, in regards to tournament play, I think the desire of being at the level you think you're at is what people should do.
Yeah.
I don't want to see four people playing 4-5 that are 3-5s. That's not good for anybody. But if you're on the cusp of 4-0, then play 4-0 and see how it goes.
Yeah. And anecdotally, I will say that a lot of the players that I played with last year that were all playing 3-5 are now all playing 4-0. And their DUPR may not necessarily reflect that yet, but they are, to your point, like right on the cusp. But I think that's the right move, right? You spend a whole year playing 3-5, have success, move on, right? So, all right. Thank you for sharing that. So you picked your division. Tournament day's here. How early are you showing up to a tournament before your start time? And then what is your warm-up routine?
I want to back up.
Yeah.
I want to back up to the day or two before the tournament.
Ooh, yes.
We really need to consider how much we practice leading up to the weekend of the tournament. Sometimes tournaments are during the week, but let's perceive that the tournament's on the weekend. We also need to think about what our hydration's like, because I remember even Ben Johns talking about how he hydrates a couple days in advance. He starts his hydration to a tournament, and certainly that's something that I do as well. But I think over-training, over-practicing the day before a tournament is very common. It's a big issue. I've seen a lot of players kind of get spent physically by doing too much the day before. Now you get to a tournament site, you get excited. Imagine if you didn't belong to Third Shot Pickleball. Mm-hmm. Indianapolis, you are coming from Ohio. You come into this incredible facility. It's nice ambiance, got some great players in this club. You may want to play for 6 hours the day before, but that's just not smart. And we all know, Fabian, you and your wife are victims of this, that you don't even realize how much you're playing and how long you're playing when you're loving the game. So put an alarm clock on your watch. You know I'm for real.
So all right, let's give the takeaway there. So are you saying limit the amount that you play the day before, or don't play and work on like shot selection or like drill, right? So what would be the takeaway there?
Both of those things are accurate. Don't play as much the day before a tournament, and maybe work on your shots a little bit. If I go to a tournament, for instance, and my tournament starts on a Saturday, and I'm only have one person that I can practice with, no problem. Literally doing skinny cross courts, skinny down the lines, working on dinks cross court, maybe work on serve return, speed ups, quick hands. All of that is just as valuable to me as getting rec play in the day before I play. So I think limiting the time and then also think about drilling a portion of that time the day before, super important.
Yep.
So we've now said hydrate well in advance, multiple days before. Let's talk about the day before. Here we are talking about practice session. I also think that, visualizing once you've been to the facility you're playing at that night, and I don't care if you're a pro or you're an amateur, literally remembering what that vibe is and the feel of the facility, going back to your hotel room or wherever you're staying and visualizing yourself for the next day in that venue, playing well. It's a really good tactic, and I don't think a lot of amateurs visualize. I could be wrong, but I doubt it.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Okay, and so day of, now we're at day of, right? How early
Hold on a second. Sorry, we're not at day of, because I'll tell you what's happened, Fabian, for the last 5 years that I've been playing tournaments. I've been playing tournaments a lot longer than that, but it's a midnight evolution of the draw rollouts. Mm-hmm. So literally, if you're one of those people that get excited about the draw and you want to see the bracketing and who you might play and how it might flow, it affects your sleep because maybe you can't go to sleep because you're so anxious about that draw coming out at midnight. So
That's me.
What I don't like is that software package of at midnight, it flips to become obvious to players what their bracket's like. I'd like it to be okay by 6 p.m. the night before, you know what your draw is.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, I'm at a point now, even though I know it's coming out at midnight, I'm not even going to check it. And I will probably not care at all. I will check in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I'll see who my first match is. I don't even like to forecast additional rounds. Some people are different, and there's not a right or wrong there. But for me, I just prefer to not get worked up into who my opponent is and then who my opponents will be.
Right.
So that's important to focus on.
Right. Yeah, because it's really not going to change the outcome, right? Like, so you're, at the end of the day, potentially just doing more harm than good of kind of overworking your brain to think about possibilities, right? Just show up and play.
So you're an amateur player.
Tell
me what you
that's
do.
Rude.
You and Kristen are mixed doubles team.
Yeah.
There's 15 other teams in your draw of 16.
Yeah.
And that draw is coming out at midnight.
Yeah.
What do? Do you stay awake? Do you set your alarm at 11:59? Or do you say, I'm going to wait till tomorrow? I really don't want to get worked up about scenario.
It just depends, right? Like, I don't think I would sit out and be like, I'm going to stay up till midnight for this, but also I'm like a little kid. So if I'm excited for something, you can't shut down my level of excitement. I am somebody who has trouble going to sleep because I just want the next day to be here already. So if I'm awake because of that, I'll check it. But I don't think it's going to change anything about how I approach the day, right? Like, I'm also somebody who will play like crap 2 weeks leading up to the tournament, but when tournament day hits, my mindset shifts, and I just become like a different person or a different player, right? Like, and I think there's people out there that are like that. And so I don't carry any of that kind of lack of confidence going into it to affect me the day of.
I think the sleep patterns that you have, it's a cumulative effect going into a weekend. Could you imagine if you were playing in the Super Bowl the night before the Super Bowl? I mean, how would you sleep well the night before you're playing in the most ultimate sporting event with worldwide viewership in the, whatever it is, hundreds of millions? I think that'd be very difficult. And sure, you could take an Ambien or a Advil PM, but do you really want to mess with your body and the physiological dynamic the night? So the point is that I'm making, I've had some sleepless nights before I played, but I was never going to use that as an excuse to not playing well, because that whole week I was trying to sleep well. And even if I'm resting, but I'm not in an REM state, I still feel like it's important for our listeners to get to a point where they're not going to make excuses, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you don't do the things we talk about here today, you can have a whole bunch of excuses for why you didn't perform well. But sleep at its ultimate 6 to 8 hours. I never get 6 hours of sleep straight. Okay, I might get 4, go back to sleep, 2, 3, but I'm not using that as an excuse ever because I know what to do leading up to it that's not going to make it consequential for one 24-hour period.
Yeah. Yeah. Sleep is important. Bet. All right. Moving on. Okay. So can we get to day of? We got a lot to get through here. How early are you getting there? Right.
So the perspective of how much practice you need at that site is very important. If I was an amateur, I'd get there an hour early at a minimum because you could have some snafus traveling and traffic, things like that. But I'm also a seasoned veteran when it comes to tournaments. Even take Ben Johnson. I bet I've played more tournament matches than almost anybody that's in tournament play, pro or amateur at this point. And I don't have the need to practice for 45 minutes to an hour before I'm going to go play 5 matches in 85-degree heat.
Yeah.
So for me, I probably get there 45 minutes in advance. Most of them start at 8 a.m., so I get there at 7:15-ish. And the practice and the warm-up shouldn't be the most energetic thing you do all day. I would say really slowly getting to the flow and the vibe and getting a sweat. Makes sense?
That's what I was going to say. I would say that it's probably almost more of like get the body moving more so than like, hey, let's practice a bunch of nicks and drops and shots and whatnot, because that should already be automatic. It should be waking up the body to be able to react in like real time, right? Versus like waking up in that first game.
That's well said. You get the body woken up and you get the mind woken up. I will say that when there's an opportunity with a new partner that I've never played with before to play another team in gender or mixed doubles to get those extra reps in a playing scenario, that's helpful. So I would say try with a new partner to play some points against another team in advance. I will also say this. I had a new partner and she is really good. Her name is Carolina and she lives in Dayton, Ohio, which isn't that far. She's a 5.96 DUPR. And I was really excited to play mixed doubles with her in Nashville 2 weekends ago, but I never played with her. She's like, would you mind driving here so we can practice for a weekend or for a day?
Yeah.
And I said, sure. I've never practiced, never driven 2 hours for practice for the day for a partner, but that made a lot of sense to me. Mixed doubles, she's about half my size. She can play the left and the right. But to see what she could do next to me and her to feel my presence, that was really important. And we had a great tournament. And I think because we practiced the week before together, was a big, big component of that.
Nice. Was that the gal you posted a video online of like you kind of taking over the whole court? Is that your partner?
To be clear, she posted the video and I shared it. Yes, it was me basically running down an overhead. And actually, I thought when I was covering over the overhead for this partner who's 4'6", I would have assumed that she would have switched to the other side.
Yeah.
She did not. So she let the big guy have to come all the way back. And she put something kind of funny in her description of that video. But yeah, Carolina, she has 3 last names. Otherwise, I'd remember which one to call it. But she's phenomenal. And she's a good communicator. And I think the desire to feel what balls are mine versus which were they are all mine. God. Wait, what's wrong? What's wrong?
Pause,
what just happened?
bro. You can't say that on a
what
podcast.
Just happened?
Which balls are mine? Come on. Come on.
Fabian.
Anyway.
Well, the good news is I think she knows I'm married, and let's just leave it at that.
Woo. All right. So we're there. We're warmed up. Okay. So what are you packing? Right. So we've got some stuff on the table, but like,
what are you packing?
Pause. Whoops. Okay. You know what I'm saying? In your bag. What are you?
Great question.
Why are you looking at me like that? What are you packing in your bag? Some venues have food and drink options. Some people don't. Are you bringing a cooler? What are your snack situations? What's your recovery situation? What are you bringing in terms of like gear? So talk a little bit about that.
This is going to sound weird, but the color of the day for me matters how I'm vibing on the court. What I think that context of the atmosphere, it might be a pink day.
Yeah.
And it could be a red day. I know my mixed doubles partners sometimes say, hey, Rick, do you want to wear this color? But the guy never calls me and says, Rick, are we going to wear matching skirts?
Oh, well, maybe not skirts.
You-
but we definitely need to be matching colors.
Okay.
Look good, feel good, play good.
So there's
right?
nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
I play singles too. It just, on any given day, I put myself in that atmosphere. What color do I feel there? You're already making a decision.
Yeah.
That's a win because you chose it. You've seen yourself doing it well because you visualized. I think that matters.
Yeah.
So what outfit? Are you going to wear longer socks, shorter socks, pink socks, green socks? I'll wear anything. Hat backwards, hat forwards. One wristband, two wristbands. All of these things matter to me to set up the package that's going to compete.
Yeah.
When you have more control of things in the beginning, you will do better when you can't control everything when you're on the court. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And I've never really discussed it that way, but I think most people consider me a fairly natural competitor that doesn't think as much, but in reality, it's not conscious development of my pregame mojo, but it's there.
Yeah.
So when we talk about what we're packing in the bag, I want you to know I plan to
some
not.
nuts in there?
I'm
As a
not
snack?
bringing a pea shooter. I'm bringing a bazooka. And
This is going off the rails. I'm so sorry, everybody.
my
thank you for
bazooka
listening.
is big and powerful because I loaded up with lead tape.
Yeah.
And this lead tape needs to be experimented with by
So
players.
you go all the way around?
And so that's a great question. I do go around the circumference of the paddle.
Yeah.
A lot of pros only like to have it here in the throat.
Yeah.
But I like it more to feel like a tennis racket. And therefore, the head of the paddle is definitely more manipulated in a tennis vibe.
Yeah.
So I weight it up all the way around. And this is not every tournament, obviously.
Yeah.
And I will say, having a scale, it's not expensive. Buying a produce scale that they use in supermarkets, not a bad idea to make sure your paddles are at the proper weight. Sometimes they could lose weight. So, I mean, I've got a little chip in this paddle. Who knows how much that made it decrease in weight? I don't know. But paddles, I think you absolutely need more than one that are the same. I've seen a lot of amateurs carry two paddles and they're different paddles. I think that's a mistake. I think you have to have equal confidence in the second one in case something happens. I literally have had a paddle break on a volley right at the handle. Okay, luckily I just brought another stick out there that's exactly the same. Now, this is a carbon fiber eraser.
I believe that's what it's called. We were discussing this before the podcast started, but it's, I mean, yes, I believe it's only for carbon fiber, but it's just like a paddle cleaner, right? Like a paddle eraser.
Definitely, and there's little shards of the ball that I think carbon probably creates more shards on the face of the paddle. So cleaning the face of the paddle with this eraser, I like a smooth surface to start. Obviously, once you play and you're in the middle of your matches, you're going to have some shards there. But again, it's another element that you can control going into battle.
Yeah.
Now, cramping for us older people is a very real thing. It happens more the later in life you get. At least I think that because that's happening to me. Yeah. So and I don't like the sugar content of certain electrolyte packets. Mm-hmm. And clearly people drink Gatorade and all kinds of sports drinks. But for me, it's the sugar-free electrolytes, liquid IV. I'm not here to promote one product over another, but I absolutely think, if you don't want those sugar high and lows, go sugar-free with that. And I will tell you, I do actually hydrate the night before with one of these as well. Yeah. I don't want to come in there and have an unexpected warm morning and you're in your first singles match at 9 a.m. and you're like, oh my gosh, I could start feeling the depletion and go into cramp mode early in the day. Yeah. So get hydrated early. That makes perfect sense. Another thing about the color coordination is the paddle guard. You could, in addition to the lead tape that you could put around your paddle or on the throat, then you got to think about the tape you put to guard the lead tape and just the edge of your paddle. And I know you know about this right here. Maybe you could explain that. But for me, for instance, this is the Seattle Tsunami color, blue. And I looked all over for this when I was at the championships in Seattle back in October, because I wanted my paddle to really vibe the team when I'm playing. I don't necessarily use royal blue when I'm playing an individual tournament, but when I'm on a team and that's the team color, all day I'm going to get that tape that covers the guard. Advise my team.
Yeah,
what is that?
100%. I'll talk about this in a second, but to our point about like what you're wearing the day of, how the paddle looks, how you're setting it up, that's something that I spend a lot of time, probably more than I need to, day or two before, of just like, what am I going to wear? How am I going to look? Because that ultimately makes me feel really good on the court, right? Like that increases my confidence. And that goes for the paddle as well. I've got a fresh over grip on there, so that's nice and clean. That's either going to match the outfit or match my team member. And then edge guards as well. So I probably have like 4 different colors of this, right? For just any situation that I get into, but I like to set that up the night before and I'll redo it. So if I've been playing with it, it's a little beat up, I want it to look nice and clean the day of. But these, we recently just started talking to this guy. Shout out to my guy Lyle at Vinyl Style Edge Guards. I don't know if you guys can see this, but so Lyle's store is awesome. He was like a vinyl car wrapper, got into pickleball and was like, why don't they make good looking, long lasting edge guards? Like everything kind of looks like crap. And so he sent us a bunch of these vinyl edge guards and I love them. And he's got them in all these awesome colors. This is the pink one, but I'll be setting up my paddle with the brand new one. Like I said, the night before to make it look really good. And these are kind of like perfectly sized for the type of paddle that you use. So I'm right there with you.
The wearing of multiple shirts is something that I do all the time, even in indoor tournaments. So I think, as obvious as it sounds, make sure you have enough shirts to change. The worst thing you can do is keep wearing a soggy, wet, heavy shirt from match to match to match. Yeah. So I, on the average of a day of competition, go through 7 shirts.
Jeez.
That's a lot. I sweat a lot, and people kind of know my spot around the tournament grounds because I like them also to dry out some after I've sweat in them. And that brings me to another component, which I bet you've never thought about, and that is where at the venue is your ideal location
like base
for
camp?
Home base. Yeah. Base camp. And I'll tell you, nowhere is it more important than our guest, who was the tournament director of the U.S. Open we had on a few weeks ago. His venue, super hot. And remember, I told the listeners how it could go lickety-split where you're on court, you get off, you might have time to go to the bathroom, then boom, you're on court 47 when you're on court 3. Right. That is a humongous distance to travel. And you're on the clock that you could be getting penalties for points in games. So thinking about a center location, I mean, I don't know how many people have been to the Naples Pickleball Center, but it's so spread out that if you're on one end or the other playing the most important tournament of the year for a lot of people, you better get a central location or you could be really... I've literally had to run to different courts because of where my location was, where I went to the bathroom, where the players' lounge was for the VIPs. Yeah. It can be chaos. You got to be really careful about that and think about the shade. I've definitely set up camp under trees outdoors. Shade matters. And I also think when you're talking about indoors, Is it close to the bathroom or not? All of that stuff matters.
Yeah. Okay. So takeaway there, invest some time, day or two before, of just the necessities that you need in terms of wrapping your paddle, weighting your paddle, cleaning your paddle, and then extra clothes in your bag, whether that be socks, shirts, shorts. Maybe you want to have a different look if you make it to the championship rounds like I would like to do, right? So, all right, that's the takeaway there. Boys, how we doing on time? Talking to the producers here. Bet. All right, we're gonna do some rapid fire stuff here, Rick, just so that we're giving people a lot of value, right? So one of the things, and these might not be in order, but one of the first things when you start a game, you're gonna pick something, right? You're either gonna pick side or you're gonna pick serve or receive. So what is your go-to strategy? And I don't know if you're gonna gatekeep this like Susanna Barr didn't want to tell us the shot that was beating her. So I don't know. Can you tell us your strategy on do you serve or receive when you have the option?
I usually defer to my partner and let them choose. But that being said, I'm not going to say what I normally do because I don't want my future opponents to take away what I want to do. But I will say...
Okay, what advice would you give to people?
Number one, pull the defer out of your hat. If there's somebody you don't love or you feel like it's kind of a really important, tense matchup that's more than just a first round or...
Yeah.
I'll defer. Have you ever had anybody say I defer?
Yeah.
Okay. So I really haven't. And I think that's something that mentally, you're doing it. You're in control of deferring, but it's happened once or twice that I've seen. I think I want everybody to use it at least once. I'm going to defer.
Yeah.
So yes, I do have a preference. I'll tell you this. I don't care so much about which side I start on, which side is the second game on. Then on the third game, you always switch after 6. Somebody gets to 6. Right. There's a lot of my partners that will choose which they're going to choose a side, not serve or receive, because they want to forecast where would they finish if we went to a third game.
Yeah.
For me, I don't care. I'll either side, and I'll work the mechanics of that. Yeah. Doesn't matter to me.
Yeah, and I feel like, I don't know, maybe you guys let us know, but I feel like you're either one or the other, right? You either always serve or you always receive. And to me, I won't gatekeep that information. I'll tell you what I like to do, right? And this is just a recent change, but I always opt to receive the ball. It just seems like at the beginning of the game, and this is for doubles, at the beginning of the game, you get them, when you start a game, they only get one serve, right? So you stop them early, and then it feels like you have the advantage to have 2 serves, right? So that's kind of my strategy when I go into it.
Fabian, I'm not going to divulge what I like.
I'm just telling you.
But with your perspective, I might say that you are my brother from a different mother.
Bet. I'm a little darker than you. All right, so serve and retrieve strategy. Okay. We're talking amateurs. We're not talking pros here because a lot of the people that are playing in this upcoming tournament are amateurs. So at the beginning, maybe the first game, are you choosing to drive or drop your thirds? And why?
Typically, players of all levels, amateur and pro, get nervous right out of the gate. If you're not nervous to start a match, you're probably superhuman. You're probably named Ben Johns or J.W. Johnson or Dylan Frazier, Gabe Tardio. But I think that driving the ball when you're nervous makes more sense than dropping when you're a little bit uptight, because the drop is such a touch feel shot that I typically drive a little bit more in the beginning, even if my general intention is to drop thirds. Drive more out of the gate when you're amped and nervous.
Okay. So how do you handle those nerves, right? So now you're nervous, first game, everybody's got nerves. What are you doing to handle the nerves?
Well, number one, realize that being nervous is not an indictment of mental weakness. Being nervous should be an accepted emotion based on your commitment to your involvement in the match. Investment. You're making an investment by being nervous. It's okay. Now you have to use that nervousness in a positive way. Clearly moving your feet more. What do you think I do that is an outward expression to deal with nerves? What do you think I do?
Grunt.
I grunt. And that came from the tennis world. And there's no part of me that tries to grunt to annoy my opponent. Some people might be annoyed, some people, I don't care. But one thing's for sure, that helps me release some pressure and tension, and I recommend it. Look, I'm going to be watching Indian Wells today.
Yeah.
My nephew's playing at 4 p.m. I'm absolutely going to be hearing both players grunt a ton, and you watch a tennis match, you hear it. Why is this different? Doesn't have to be different. In fact, pickleball is a louder sport anyway, so I recommend grunting for everybody.
Get the nerves out by grunting. Got it. Okay. When do you, again, don't divulge too much personally. We're talking to the listener, right? We're talking to the amateur player who's playing at the tournament coming up or any other tournament coming up, right? When are you calling timeouts? And are you taking advantage of them? I'll tell you personally, I see a lot of people that don't use their timeouts. I'm kind of a jerk, and this may be against the rules. You tell me, but I wait to call a timeout until the very last minute, right before they serve. I call a timeout. Why you're giving me this look like I hate you?
Well, two things. Number one, I'm surprised you didn't learn that from me, because Jose DeRisi, my good friend.
My name's Fabian.
I know, but he just kind of showed me the perfect timing of calling a timeout is when they wind up and they haven't quite hit it. Timeout.
Is that allowed?
Timeout. Then his eyes like bug out of his face and they hit you in the forehead. It's crazy the way he does it.
And that's allowed?
It's 100% allowed. Is it towing the line of sportsmanship? Maybe. I actually do it to kind of be funny, to be honest, at this point. But the perspective of not using timeouts in a game you lose, you should just put an L on your forehead. Because that's so stupid not to use timeouts if the mojo's against you, right? My good friend and partner, Scott Crandall, who's a coach of an MLP team, not playing as much anymore, but he just said, Rick, if we ever lose 3 points in a row, timeout.
Yeah.
I don't really believe in just a manufactured number of points, but in a certain regard, if you lose 3, 4, or 5 points and you're not calling timeout, that's just not smart.
Yeah, and I think a good rule of thumb there would be have that number in your mind of like, I'm only going to allow this many number of points to get away from me before I call a timeout. But also, I think when you get into that gray area, is kind of you're talking about like, oh, I don't know if that's just like a black and white rule. I think it does depend on whether they're on the 1 or the 2, right? Because you have to have that confidence of like, I'm not going to burn it right now. I think we can stop them. Right, and then if you go past your stopping point, right, say it's 3 points and they get to 4, then call your timeout if they're on the 2. If they're on the 1, I'd say kind of adhere to that, right, but have that number set in mind and like don't forget to do it, because I feel like I'm the only one that ever calls timeouts when I play.
Another thing, Fabian, is when you notice your partner mentally gets to a different zone that's not healthy, maybe they just got tattooed with a speed up in the chest. Or worse yet, the head or the face. It happens. That's hard to recover and not make it personal on your next few points, which then could be the detriment of your next few points. So I think it's important to not only use timeouts as buffers to going on a losing streak, but also just a mental temperament change. And I also think sometimes it's just because you had the longest point and maybe you're 6'4" and 235 pounds like me. That's probably going to affect me outdoors more than a 5'9", 160-pound person. So it definitely in singles, I've used plenty of timeouts just to kind of catch my wins.
Use your timeouts, people. Seriously. Maybe not when you're playing against me, but use your timeouts in general. Okay, a couple more questions here that I want to get to. Mindset shifts in overcoming a loss in the first round, right? So you get to your round robin, you're nervous, you're not hitting the shots that you typically hit, you missed calling your timeout, you got an L on your forehead. How do you overcome that first loss and then not let it impact the games coming up?
Well, the beautiful thing is there are tournaments every single weekend that you can play. And I think it's super important to not let one tournament's outcome affect your personal worth and relevance. And that is true of not just the tournament in totality, but the tournament in regards to the first round. Now, back in the day, they had the come around which meant you could lose first round and get all the way back and possibly win gold.
Yeah.
And that was nice, but tournament days were way too long. So now you can still get to bronze. And if you think about it, everybody other than 2 teams goes into that second chance opportunity bracket.
Yeah.
So anybody that plays in a tournament that doesn't want to play more and more matches to improve their game, then they shouldn't be playing tournaments. Because really, I enjoy playing a multitude of matches because I feel like I can continue to improve. Sometimes they've even learned shots mid-tournament that I've never used before.
Yeah.
Why would you not want more matches? It's important to be a goldfish after you lose that first match. And really, nobody wants to play with a partner that's, oh, I lost first round. I'm so pissed off. Like, who wants to be with that person?
Yeah.
Come on. Yeah. You will never be on the docket in the speed dial of good players if you do that. So people are watching you and your behavior, not when only you win, but how do they react in a negative situation like a loss.
Yeah. And I kind of take the approach if I end up losing, because I've been in that situation before, you lose your first game and it's just like, great, we got the bad one out of the way, right? That's my mentality. We got the bad one out of the way. Great. It happened early. Boom. Let's build the confidence for the rest of it. And that's how it's kind of progressed, right? Like we lose one, we're just kind of nervous. We're feeling out the day and then boom, go undefeated the rest. Right. So I don't think it's like you lose and you lose it all. Like to your point, be a goldfish, move on. And don't, like, that game has zero impact on the rest of them, right? Especially if it's pool play. For the most part, it's not going to bounce you out. It might, but, like, don't let that carry through the rest of your games because you don't know how everybody else is going to play.
Can't anything happen in a pickleball match?
Yes. And at any point of the game, yeah.
I'm not kidding. I've lost games where the opposing team hit the let court 9 times. 9 times one game.
Yeah.
And then 7 the next game. I don't want to blame it on luck. They could be aiming for that net because maybe it was a temp net.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, that's another hot tip on our show. If you're playing on a temp net, not a secure posted net, aim a little closer to that net, you will get way more lead courts. But no win or loss should define anybody, and anything can happen. So therefore, don't be fatalistic because you lost. And you owe it to your partner.
Yes.
To move on to the next match.
100%. All right. I've got one more question, and then I'm going to give you an opportunity just to like general advice that we want to give people. And this is one that you kind of see at different tournaments, definitely not at ours because ours are the best. But how do you deal with extra long delays in between your games? What are you doing between those delays when you don't know when your next match is going to be?
One thing we're focusing on here today, Fabian, is focus on the things you can control. Mm-hmm. And we went through a bevy of night before, morning of controlling factors where you felt like, okay, I got what I got because I'm being organized. You cannot control long delays or quick snapshots to the next court in the next round. So I think the perspective of hydration and eating matters. For instance, I know some tournaments have, at least for the pros, buffet options. And I'm never going to eat that meal that they have laid out that's chicken breasts and green beans and casseroles. No, I'm never going to eat that during the day of competition. Now, once my day is over, if it's still there, I'll eat it. But I'm a popcorn guy. I eat a lot of popcorn just in between matches. And so you say if it's a long delay, I'm probably eating a lot of popcorn. Also, I see a lot of senior pros drinking a Diet Coke, maybe even getting a coffee because their energy level after a 2-hour, 3-hour delay went down. But I will say the number of times I've heard pros, oh, I had to wait so long between this match and that match. And like that literally has been an excuse for so many top pros. And it could be valid, but you can't let that be a descriptor. You're supposed to be a professional in your trade. I want to play less tournaments now. You know why? Because I don't like waiting around all day, not knowing when these matches are. And it's just not that much fun for me anymore. But what I'm not going to do is say, oh, I had to wait 4 hours between my quarters and my semis.
Yeah.
So that's why I lost. That's not professional to use that as an excuse.
Okay. So other than popcorn, what are you telling people to do here? So stretching, relaxing, like what? Stay warm.
Stay hydrated. Stay consuming your favorite food. Definitely the stretch matters. I mean, one thing you don't want to do is just sit for 4 hours.
Right.
You can get caught into conversations with people you really like, but oh my gosh, I'm on. And that shot can freak you out. I will tell you, my worst match last year came in the NPL event where I was slated to not play the first match at 8 a.m. I was slated to play the second match, which would have been at 9:50. So I thought at 7:30, sweet, I'll just kind of have a light warm up. Yeah. I'll warm up with my partner again at 8:30, and I'll kind of work my way into this day. Well, lo and behold, they had flip-flopped the morning of who started, and I was not prepared for that. I consider myself fairly resilient, but that not expecting when I was going on the court right at the beginning, plus I was playing with a new partner, it was a double whammy, and I think we were probably done in about 20 minutes. It was a very bad experience, and I fault myself for not being resilient because I couldn't control that the schedule had changed.
Yeah.
And it probably was the same thing for my opponents, but I'm playing with a new partner. Would have loved to have warmed up with him and play a few practice points.
So just stay ready.
Stay ready and focus on what you can control.
Got it. All right. So we're coming up at the end here.
Stay out of the sun as well, right? If
Yes.
you're playing outdoors
Yeah.
and you're out, you're 3 hours between matches, do not bask in the sun. That's not smart.
So no signature shot today because we don't have a guest, but we are still coming to you live from Third Shot Pickleball here in beautiful Indianapolis, Indiana. So we need Rick's tip. So your last tip, your last takeaway for people that are playing this tournament that we're hosting here, the Spring Invitational, but maybe anybody else that's getting ready to, listening and getting ready to play in the tournament. Last tip, last takeaway. What do you got?
Here's what I want to see from the people playing in this tournament. Please, folks, I want you to vary your height and your speeds of your serves and your returns. Too many amateurs hit the same darn ball on the serve and the return. It's too easy to get used to that. I mean, literally today I was playing with 3 guys that are pretty good players. The second we went into lob serve, 2 out of 3 returns were missed. Use your legs, practice lob serves, practice some higher, slower returns. Let's say you're not getting to the kitchen fast enough if you're an amateur. There's no excuse to not get to the kitchen off a return of serve. Don't tell me that you're too slow, out of shape. No. It's then lob every return so you can get up that kitchen line. So vary the speeds, the spins, and the elevation of serves and returns to do the best you can in our tournament.
Love it. Love it. We're looking forward to seeing all of you that are playing at the Spring Invitational. Thank you so much for signing up. And anybody else that's getting ready to go play a tournament as you're listening to this, good luck to you. If you can, like, follow, subscribe, share this episode. We are on all social media platforms and on YouTube at This Is Pickleball Podcast. Rick, what you got?
I want you to know that we are still accepting applications for sponsors to our show. We're getting a lot of hot leads thanks to all our fabulous guests. Fabian, you kind of know what you're doing, so I appreciate you being my co-host. And I appreciate the production crew who are producing and having a thankless job. Thank
Shout
you,
out to
gentlemen.
John and Chris.
But ultimately, we don't need a bunch of sponsors. But we're really lobbying right now for who the best ones are. Let us know ASAP if you want to be part of our show.
Love that. Love that. Thank you, everybody, for listening and watching. We are out.